Have you been dreaming of owning a vacation home? Well, today's video is going to be all about the pros and cons of purchasing a second home at the beach. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel, Living in Tampa. If you're new to my channel, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. Today's video is going to be all about the pros and cons of owning a vacation home in Florida. If this is something you've been considering, this is a video you don't want to miss. So come on, let's get started. Alright, so today I am broadcasting from the beach, specifically Redington Shores, which is located in Pinellas County. We've got numerous beaches in Pinellas County, lots of places to choose from, and they are some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Clearwater is also in Pinellas County. That's been voted the #1 beach umpteen times in the nation. So definitely a great place to think about purchasing a vacation home. I mean, who wouldn't want to vacation in a beautiful spot like that? Let me flip this around for you so you can see exactly what the beaches look like here, just to give you an idea. What I like about Redington Shores is it's not as populated as some of the other beaches. Clearwater is more like our touristy beach, and all the beaches that are a little bit closer to Clearwater are a lot more populated. But as you can see, this beach today, there's not many people here at all, making it a nice, relaxing place to spend the day. And this is pretty typical for, today's a Friday morning. It's quite early, so there's not as many people out just yet. But just to give you an idea of how beautiful it is here. But back to the subject of the video. So, you're buying a vacation home. That is awesome. Now, there are a lot of pros and cons that you're going to want to take into consideration, and as promised, this video is going to cover some of those for you. So the #1 pro that obviously you can see behind me is that you're going to have a spot like this for your vacations every year. That is a huge pro. You know, you're going to be able to enjoy coming whenever you want. You can have your family come. And another pro is you could buy this property and plan on retiring there later when the time comes. So there's a lot of advantages in that in itself. That would be the #1 pro, is having a beautiful place to vacation yourself. Now, pro #2 is going to be the income that you get from your rental property. So you have this vacation home, and if you put it into the rental program, you're going to have that income coming in every month that's going to help offset some of the expenses of owning the home, and also can be a nice supplemental income depending on the area, the restrictions of the building to how often you can rent it, you know, what the rental rates are. Obviously, you have to take all of that into consideration, as well as some of the expenses that you're going to incur when you have a rental property like a beach place. So the rental income in this particular building that I'm standing on, they have a 3-month minimum rental period. So there are restrictions like that that you have to think about. You might not be able to make as much on a building that has that type of restriction as one that's going to allow you to rent it for maybe, you know, 7 days at a time. But this particular building has a 3-month minimum rental period. So you can rent out your unit once every 3 months. So it doesn't necessarily have to be for the entire 3 months, but you're only allowed to rent it out once every 3 months. So you're going to be more focused on finding some Canadian people maybe that are coming down for snowbird type of thing, or you know, northerners, New York, New Jersey, people like that is probably who you would want to market your unit to, so that they might want to stay a little bit longer than just coming out for a quick vacation. It would be more of like a snowbird type of rental. The income for that, depending on the size of the unit and if it's beachfront or not, but let's just go with, say it's beachfront and it's your typical, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,100 or so square feet, you're probably going to be getting between $4,000 and $5,000 a month for a rental income, depending on the location. So that's a pretty nice income for a second home. That's going to help offset a lot of the expenses that you might have, and it definitely makes it worth having a vacation home, in my opinion, because you do get that extra income, which is really nice to have. So the third pro of owning a vacation home is the tax deductions. Now you've got this beautiful home that you can go and enjoy yourself. You can let your friends and family enjoy the convenience of having everything that you need and not having to pack everything every time you go on vacation, because you will have a little owner's closet where you can keep your belongings that no one else has access to. Those are all nice reasons, to own a vacation home. But those tax deductions really help, because when you rent out the property, you get to write off things like cleaning fees, property management fees, anytime you have to repair or replace something. Most of the time, depending on your tax situation, of course, you can write those things off. Now, be sure to discuss all of this with your financial advisor or your accountant before jumping in, but a big pro, in my opinion, to owning a vacation home is having those tax write-offs. And the last pro that I'm going to discuss today is the profit that you can make because of the equity that you will gain in owning a vacation home. So I can speak firsthand from this because we bought a vacation home up in Georgia in the mountains. So we already live here in Florida and have access to these beaches all the time. So at that time, it didn't make sense for us to buy a vacation home on the beach. We wanted something different from what we always get to enjoy anyhow. So we looked up in Georgia in the mountains and we bought a vacation home there. We did end up selling that a few years back. We owned it for 7 years, and even with the market fluctuations that happened during that time, we were still able to turn a very nice profit on the equity of that home. So of course you want to buy your vacation home at a time when the market is not at a peak, and you want to make sure that you're selling it whenever you do go to sell, when the market is at a peak, because that's the rules of real estate, right? To buy low and sell high. And we were able to do that with our mountain place, and it worked out very well for us. So that's definitely a pro of owning a vacation home, is that when you go to sell it, most likely you are going to have a very nice profit, especially if you time the market correctly. So what could be the cons of owning a vacation home? There are some cons that you do need to consider, not be swept away by the beautiful view and all the great pros that I just told you about. You definitely want to balance that out and look at the cons as well. So one of the major cons of buying a second home is that you are required to have a large down payment. Most lenders are going to require you to have at least 20%, depending on your credit situation, and some of them might even require up to 30%. So when you're looking at the beach, you're going to be in a pretty high price point, and that's going to be a very significant down payment. The other con would be your interest rate. If you are financing your second home, the interest rate for a second home is going to be a little bit higher than it would be on your primary residence in most cases. So you definitely want to shop around, talk with a lender, and see where you're at in that situation before you get your heart set on a second home. Another major con to owning a vacation property would be the time that you have to invest in it. So unless you hire a property manager, you're going to be taking care of the marketing and the upkeep and all of that on your own, and that is going to take a significant amount of time. If you're going to advertise your property on Airbnb or VRBO or any of those websites, you're going to have to take the time to build those ads. You're going to have to be monitoring those ads. You're going to be screening your potential renters. There's going to be a lot that you have to do to make the rental property work well for you. If you are not local, I would highly, highly recommend hiring a property manager. And if you're a busy person, I would recommend hiring a property manager anyway, because that's going to alleviate a lot of that stress that you're going to be dealing with, and you don't want to have stress when you're owning a vacation property. But of course, having a property manager does come at a price, so that's going to eat into some of your profit. Now, up in Georgia for the mountain home, property management was extremely expensive, and it made it almost to the point where it wasn't even worth it to rent the property out at all because of what they charged. In Florida, it's a little more reasonable, I guess would be a good word. I think most of the property managers here are going to charge between 12-15%, maybe 20, depending on what you've got them doing for you. But up in Georgia, they were wanting 30 and 40%, and that's really just makes it, again, like I said, not really even worth doing, because after you pay for the upkeep of your property and then you pay your property manager, there's just not a whole lot of money left. So that was one of the reasons that we ended up deciding to sell the upkeep. That's another major con to owning a vacation property. You're going to have to invest either time or money or both in making sure that you keep your property in good condition. You don't want to have, an AC that's not working right. You don't want to show up for your vacation and have to spend the entire time just working on the place either. So keeping it up year-round is going to be something that you need to focus on so that you can enjoy your vacation property when you're there. So that would be another one of the major cons, is that upkeep. And then, like I said, with the AC example, you might have some unexpected expenses. If the AC goes out, you are going to have to, shell out the money for that. If the condo association decides to make an assessment, if you're buying a condo, then you're going to have that extra money out of pocket. And all of that, of course, eats into your profits. And another thing that eats into your profits is having to pay the taxes on that, because yes, you will have to pay federal taxes on it, and depending on where you're buying your property, there might be some other taxes that you have to pay. Now, here in Florida, we have no state income tax, so that helps a lot. Georgia was not that way, and we did have to pay tax on our income up there, but you are going to have to pay the federal taxes on your income, your rental income, so keep that in mind when you're factoring in the costs of ownership. Well, just want to show you this view one last time. I hope that today's video has given you all you need to know about the pros and cons of owning a vacation property. Hey, listen, if you're thinking about a vacation property in Florida, you've got to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. However you want to communicate with me is fine. I'm always available. When it comes to moving to the Tampa Bay area, I've got your back. Hey, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.